Hey, high school literacy leaders. This is DLC Foster Yankee, and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Curriculum Chats. In this video, I'll be discussing Section 1, Lesson 1 in the Antigone unit. So in this lesson, students are participating in a jigsaw activity, building on the ideas of others and contributing relevant information in order to build background knowledge in preparation of reading Antigone and establishing the purpose for reading Antigone, as well as related supplementary texts. They will evaluate details read to determine key ideas in an informational text that explains background information about Antigone. The texts for this lesson are Sophocles from the World History Encyclopedia, Greece and the Theater, Women in Classical Greece, How Greek Drama Saved the City, Antigone, additional background information, and Antigone trailer. Lots of materials. We have the Antigone culminating task checklist, culminating task progress tracker, a handout, Antigone additional background information, Antigone anticipation guide, jigsaw handout, the unit text list, academic discussion reference guide, literacy toolbox reference guide, theme reference guide, and the Antigone section 1 question set. So in this lesson, students will learn about the unit's central question and complete an anticipation guide to activate prior knowledge and prepare for their reading. They will also build background knowledge suitable to understanding the play Antigone by engaging in a jigsaw activity. This lesson begins with students reviewing the unit's central question: to whom or what do we owe our loyalty? Then using the questions on the second half of the screen to guide a discussion, either with a partner or in a small group, before writing a response to question 5 in their learning log. They will return to this initial response in later lessons to examine how their understanding of the central question has evolved. Next, students read and follow the directions on the Antigone anticipation guide by reading each statement and completing only the left-hand side beginning of the unit. They will review this guide at the end of the unit to see how their agreement or disagreement has evolved. Before moving on to Activity 2, they compare their answers with a partner or in a small group discussing their level of agreement. Per the teaching notes, activating students' prior knowledge helps the teacher gather information about what students already know or misunderstand about a topic. This process can illuminate students' underlying beliefs about the topic under investigation, expose misunderstandings, and uncover their pre-existing knowledge. This also gives teachers an opportunity to know what students do and do not know or understand, providing an opportunity for them to adjust instruction. In the next part of this activity, students watch the video trailer for production of Antigone, which is a little over 2 minutes long, before sharing an answer with the class based on the question on the screen. The teacher shares instructions on how students will share their observations about the trailer with the class, which will be a good opportunity to incorporate tech such as a Jamboard, Mentimeter, Slido, or Padlet. This should be a quick activity. Next, students read and take notes on the unit overview, culminating task checklist, and culminating task progress tracker, and determine what skills and knowledge they need to succeed on the culminating task. Then, in a small group, they discuss and respond to the questions in part 1 of their culminating task progress tracker, before finally using the culminating task progress tracker to determine what they need to do to succeed on the culminating task. For each skill identified, they'll assess how prepared they are. Per the teaching notes, students can share their responses with the class in a variety of ways: response boards, random selection, digital response, post-its, or the traditional raising of hands. Students might complete the culminating task progress tracker at the beginning of the unit and after each section diagnostic. Teachers should consider collecting the trackers as students complete them to monitor how they are evaluating their progress. Such information will help them make instructional decisions that are finely tuned Additionally, many students who encounter this culminating task prompt may not know what Creon, Antigone, Polyneices, or perhaps even burial rites refer to. Teachers might choose to let that be something students identify as knowledge they need to gain, or they might provide them some contextualization so they can begin unpacking the other elements of the prompt. In activity 3, which I would consider an optional activity because it's not really necessary, students access and review the unit textbooks. So again, optional, I'll probably skip this one. Moving on to activity 4. In order to build background knowledge that will support their understanding when reading the play, students engage in an jigsaw activity to learn about ancient Greece. In this jigsaw, they will first work with their expert group. For example, expert group A, B, C, D, or expert group B. As they read and analyze their assigned section of the text, they become an expert in that section. In the next lesson, they will form home groups made up of experts from each expert group. In their home group, they will share their analysis of the assigned section from their expert group in a jigsaw discussion. So at this point, students get into expert groups as assigned by their teacher and review the topics on the screen for the jigsaw. So if I was observing this lesson, I would expect to see pre-planned intentional grouping. I would talk to teachers about putting students into groups based on the complexity of the text and the complexity of the questions assigned to each group. We're not just randomly saying this table, you are group A, you are group B. This has been thought out ahead of time. So still in activity 4, expert groups access the Antigone Jigsaw handout and read the information resources provided to answer the questions listed for their topic. If there are any questions that they are unable to answer, they should ask the teacher for additional sources of reliable information. In their learning log, students will keep notes on the responses to their topic's questions and discuss the important details and facts that fully answer the questions. With their expert group, students discuss the responses to their questions and develop concise and accurate responses to the questions for their topic. Per the teaching notes, if teachers have a diverse class in terms of cultural and language background, students might be separated into home language groupings so they can practice reading their selected topic with each other. Students might need more time sounding out newly acquired vocabulary and might need to read through their section a few times to ensure comprehension. Moving on to activity 5, students join their home groups and discuss their responses to the questions for the topic they analyze, using the notes from their learning log to help explain their responses. They also take notes for the topics they did not analyze as an expert and ask clarifying questions of the expert or their teacher if there's a response they do not understand. Finally, they respond to the reflection question on the screen in their learning log before discussing with their home group. Per the teaching notes, the 5 topics that have been given to students are essential to build background knowledge necessary for comprehending Antigone. As a text written more than 2,400 years ago, there are a variety of historical and cultural norms from that period that affect the reader or viewer's understanding of the play. Each topic has been selected to cover an issue that students should have some familiarity with before starting to read the play. Students will form their designated home groups and take turns explaining the significance of their assigned topics. If any group finds information lacking in their resources, supplement them with reliable sources at your discretion. Depending on time, students might research their own resources or sources, which would be a great extension activity for your more advanced students. As students meet in their groups, teachers should be checking on them individually for understanding and participation during the discussions. They might encourage students to practice using literary terms, academic language, and the vocabulary they have been exposed to in this unit, which isn't much so far. Explaining their analysis by using their notes gives students a greater sense of individual responsibility for the learning of their peers. Right. This lesson concludes with students writing down any conclusions they have reached and their learning log about the ancient Greeks based on the information their home group provided on each topic during the jigsaw and answering the question on the screen. Again, students access the theme reference guide and read the what, when, and why section, as well as the process, identifying theme section, taking note of what themes are and how to identify them. Also, read the thematic ideas and expressing theme sections. They'll be drawing on this information in the next lesson as they discuss thematic ideas in Antigone. Per the teaching notes, this activity is intended to help students make connections to the information they have learned and how the ancient Greeks might answer the central question. It is important for students to contemplate the difference between ancient Greek society, expectations, and traditions, and that of the contemporary Western world. Students should begin to ponder who or what is valuable enough to earn or have a right to loyalty from alternate perspectives. Students will be identifying and analyzing how characters address thematic ideas in Antigone. By reading the theme reference guide, they will have a better understanding of the concepts of theme and thematic ideas and be more prepared to apply that understanding to the character argument note-taking tool. So our cub for this lesson reads, and this is an example of a possible cub. Students will know background information about city-states in 5th century Greece, the theater in ancient Greece, Sophocles, gender roles in ancient Greece, and death and burial in ancient Greece. They'll understand the life and words of the ancient Greek playwright Sophocles, as well as insights into his plays, details around Greek theater, ancient Greek beliefs, and understandings around the topics of burial and the role of women in society, and be able to evaluate details read to determine key ideas in an informational text that explains background knowledge about Antigone using written responses on the jigsaw handout and their learning log, and really also discussions because they'll be talking about their responses as well. So that is a wrap for this video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or you want to discuss, email me. There's my email on screen, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you never have to worry about missing a video. Catch you in the next chat.